I'll be honest, Jimmy, I didn't particularly want to talk about injuries at any point this season, and it appears you've reached one of those stages where we have to talk about quite a few injuries. Let's start with the goalkeeper. Losing Toby Savin the other day was a massive blow, I know. What's the situation with him, and what's the sort of update on his condition?
Toby's going to be out for quite a while. We're talking months rather than weeks. He fell awkward. Anyone who's seen the challenge, wasn't the best challenge by the Tranmere forward. It's caught him off balance. He's fell right onto his shoulder. He dislocated it, and he's also got some tendon problems in there, and I think it needs to be repaired. So he's going to be out for quite some time.
That must be clearly a big problem for you, losing your number one goalkeeper, and for him having got back into that position. What kind of an effect has that had on everyone?
Well, it's not ideal, is it? It's not ideal. He has got back to being number one, and he has got back some real good form. He has been a lot better in and around the place. We did have a couple of problems early on in the season where he thought his days might be numbered and he wanted to play a bit higher, but he's been absolutely magnificent since then, and he's knuckled down, and it's a big loss for him and the club as well.
So that leaves you with just young Jack McIntyre, who came on to make his Football League debut in that game and has played in the trophy for you once. What's the next step in terms of covering this injury absence?
Well, we're looking down all avenues, and we will be trying to get another keeper in. If we have to go with Jack, we'd be quite happy doing that. He's shown unbelievable ability on the training ground when he was on trial. When he came in on Saturday, he's a big part of the change room. He's a big character as well as what keepers are. And we'd have no problem playing Jack.
You were also without the sort of heart of your central midfield at the weekend with no Liam Coyle and no Seamus Keneally. What's the situation with that pair?
Liam has got signs of having a hernia. If we get it sorted straight away, I believe it'll be 2 or 3 weeks out. And Seamus has got a slight problem, and would rate him 50-50 for the weekend.
How difficult is it to lose the spine of your team? Because you've also got Jay Bagaloo suspended, so goalkeeper, one of your centre-halves, and potentially your two central midfielders. How difficult to prepare does that make it?
Well, a week in football, 7 days in football. Rewind back to Sutton United, and I was sitting there and I was looking at our squad list on the wall, and I was going, only Sean McConville out. Just beat Sutton 4-1. Playing Tranmere, who was struggling, and I'm thinking, it's not going too bad. Fast forward 7 days, a poor performance and defeat by Tranmere. You plan all week for that game with Seamus and Coyley in your team, and on the Friday evening we found out that the engine room had gone, so we had to rejig it. We had to change the system, and then during that game as well, you get your centre half sent off. So, as I say, fast forward a week and it's completely different, isn't it? So we'd have to knuckle down this week. Playing a very, very difficult game, but a game that we're really looking forward to.
Injuries were such a hallmark of last season.
It was,
Is it human nature to think, here we go again?
You can think like that, and you can think negative, or you've got to get on with it, and that's one thing that we do as staff, John especially, myself, John Dool and Dibbs. You've got to turn that into a positive, and it gives other lads a chance who have been on the edge of getting games, and I'm sure they'll take it. And we've got a week to plan for the Stockport game, and we'll be ready for that.
When players get an opportunity, like they did against Tranmere, and don't take it, is that one of the more frustrating things in football? Because you're on the sidelines, you've made the plan, you've given them that chance, but you can't go out and perform for them.
Yeah, well, as I say there, we'd planned all week to have Seamus and Liam Coyle in the heart of the midfield, who were two very big players for us. And to have that taken away from you on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, it doesn't give you much time to plan for the Tranmere game, which we knew was going to be a very hard game and a game that we expected them to come at us. But to have your heart of your team ripped out and then lose Jay Bagaloo and then lose your keeper, you start, thinking about last season or whatever. But we've got to be positive. The fans have got to be positive as well. It's going to give other players that big opportunity in front of them to impress us. As I say, it wasn't the best week last week in terms of planning, and we will be a lot better this week against a very decent Stockport team.
I don't think there have been too many times this season where yourself or John has come out and said, we're unhappy with the way we've played, we haven't played well. I think there's been a sense that there's more and that they're capable of more. But the couple of times where you have been disappointed, would it be fair to say you've got a response?
Yeah, definitely. And I've always been one of them people, Dan. Home form is always better than your away. To get an away victory, you need everyone chomping at the bit. You cannot carry anyone. At home, the players seem to, I don't know why this is a thing, but since Dot going back, players play better at home. And that's the big plus that we've got this week. We've got unbelievable support who have been magnificent in the support of us as staff and as a club since we've been here, against a very good Stockport team who are a point ahead of us, 1 point ahead of us, and all of a sudden the bookmakers make them odds on to beat us at home. Well, we're going to have to turn up on Saturday for 1. We're going to have to be better than what we were against Tranmere for 2. And we're going to have to perform and make it as uncomfortable as we can for them on Saturday. And that's one thing that I'm going to urge the players to be on Saturday.
I don't think there's any debating or doubting that you've been a lot better at home this season compared to last season. How do you go about making sure it's a kind of Newport-Sutton equation rather than the game you've lost, Mansfield?
Well, it's been that way this season. We know, and I've just explained why, your away form has got to be better, and you cannot carry anyone. And something that I certainly, and we will certainly be looking at for future away performances. But we're at home. This is the first step now. It'd be pointless talking about an away performance when we're at home. So we're just concentrating on this one game as we always do. And we know we've got to be right at it and right in the face, and every single one chomping at the bit to get a result, to go 2 points ahead of Stockport, who's apparently are going to win the league and going to be right up there. So it's not all doom and gloom. We've got one big game in front of us and a game that is winnable. Yeah, they had an unbelievable result last week. Unbelievable. I watched the game. They took the chance as well. They played really well. The 2 previous away games, fantastic. And as I say, that now puts them a point ahead of Accrington. They are now in exactly the same position as what we were last week. We have got to reproduce what Tranmere did against us, what we've got to do to Stockport tomorrow. On Saturday.
I think through circumstances and player unavailability, you changed the system last weekend. Is that something that's on the table as an option, having that sort of plan A and plan B and different things that you can do?
Yeah, we had a game plan last week. It goes out the window after 14 minutes. We've been through it, we've analysed it, and there was a couple of things that we could have done better. We knew we had to stay in the game. We knew Tranmere were going to come at us. and we're just a little bit sloppy. And ultimately, we went a goal down to a penalty. At the time, I didn't think it was a penalty, but I apologised. I went in and I apologised to the referee and the linesman. It was a penalty. At the beauty of VAR. And then the sending off was absolutely ridiculous, and Jay has apologised again. And it was an uphill battle from then. One that we took to them in the second half, and if we would have put one or two chances away, it could have been different. But I thought Tranmere deserved the victory last week, and we've got to replicate what happened last week with our home game against Stockport.
There's no qualms then about changing the system again if the circumstances dictate?
No. We thought with everything that happened, we went to a back three last week. We've got no problem changing to a back four, playing any system. We'll put out what we think is right for the game that's ahead of us.